Hello, Marcy.
Hello, Joanne.
We have a special guest today, as they all are special. But
They all are special. Yes. Today we're going to be talking to Lisa, and I don't really know how to pronounce her last name yet. I just scooped her out on Instagram. I don't really know much about her, but the reason why I reached out to her is because she offers art classes in Florence. And I'm practicing becoming an artist myself. So I'm interested in her art classes, but she does offer tours of, walking tours of Florence. So I can learn a lot from her.
yeah, she's what started a magazine, I guess.
She has her own magazine. Oh, here she is.
She'll tell us all the details.
So hello, Lisa.
Hi, girls.
Thank you for joining us. Lisa's coming to us all the way from Florence.
Yeah, rainy Florence today. It's been raining for 2 days. Which is a bit...
Yeah, well, I think it's supposed to rain here later this afternoon, but rain is why it's so beautiful there, right? You can...
No, I prefer the light changes, everything changes. And also I think running around picking up kids from school in the rain is not fun. So
yeah, right. Well, we're super excited to come live there for a little bit. We're going to be there in how many days now, Joanne?
Yeah, you must be so excited. I'm excited for you. So can I ask, will this be your first time here in Florence?
Second.
Yeah.
When were we there? 2019.
Yeah.
We only spent like 4 to maybe 5 days there. It was
not long enough.
No.
Yeah, we were just hopping around different places in Italy, and oh my gosh, I fell in love when I was there.
I understand that. That's what I did as well.
Yeah. So I was telling Joanne that I don't even know how to pronounce your last name. How do you pronounce it?
It's actually much easier than what it sounds. I think people look at this long name and kind of freak out. But the beauty of living here, as opposed to Australia, is here I never have to spell it. I just say it. So it's just break it up into like two. Brancatisano.
Bracatisano.
Yeah. Or as a lot of my friends would call me, Lisa B, Brank. I got called a lot of other nicknames, so I'm used to that too.
Well, we are so happy that you've agreed to come and chat with us, and we don't really know much about you except that I found you because you offer art classes, and I am so interested in learning, especially watercolor. I had been talking to people about, I played around with some colored pencils. I took some art classes with colored pencils, and I had just said that I think I'm ready to try some watercolor. And then I came across your class, and it was perfect. So I'm super excited to do that with you.
Yeah, I'm excited too, actually. I'm already thinking about where we're going to go, because obviously it'll be depending on the weather, but we'll choose a sunny day because we're going to go outside in the garden. So I first came here to Florence in 1993. So I was talking a long time ago. I always say to people, or the young people, I say pre-internet, pre-Google, pre-anything. And I came here to learn Italian because my father is Italian origin from Calabria, but he never spoke with us. So I said, I want to learn the language properly. And I bought a one-way ticket, as you do when you're an Australian and you go traveling in Europe. And I decided to come here, and I stayed. I booked into an Italian language course that was for a month. And part of the deal was you could stay with a family, which I did because I thought that would help me to speak, faster. And it wasn't as easy as what I thought. I thought I knew a little bit, but it's so different to English, the whole grammar and the rest of it. And then I ended up staying. I did a bit of nanny babysitting work, and then I also met an artist, and he taught me watercolor. So my background was fashion design, so I was always had a bit of a creative streak and loved fashion illustration. And I used to sit outside of the Uffizi Gallery, like you see all the street artists, painting and selling watercolours. And what's so funny is I walk around there today and there's a lot of the same artists are still there.
Wow.
Oh,
And some of them don't look like they've changed at all. Exactly the same. And then I left after about 2 years and I went and lived in London for a year. And then I went back to Australia and continued working in the fashion industry. And then I'm going to give you the long story, the short version here. I have a twin sister who lives in Rome, and she came here, got married. And so in 2006, I came to visit her for a little holiday, and she was living in a gorgeous town called Pietrasanta, which you guys have to come to when you visit. It's an hour and a half on the train from Florence. It's past like Lucca, you go past Pisa, Lucca, towards La Spezia. And I was visiting her and she had some friends she said, oh, I've got some friends who want someone to go and babysit their kids, but you have to pretend you don't speak Italian and just speak English. And, just go to their beach club every afternoon. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. Oh. And their father was a fashion distributor. And we got chatting one day and he said, oh, I need someone with apparel experience because even though I do a lot of, import a lot of shoe brands, I need someone with clothing experience. So he offered me a job and in Florence and said, I have this empty apartment, and I moved here. And it was just, when you, like you said, you fell in love with Florence, when you come to a town or a city that you just feel like, I was like, I've lived here before. Like I just always felt very at home here. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I'm being offered a job back in the city that I love in fashion. And it was fantastic. And it was a great job because also all the brands that we distributed were American, English. So I still traveled a lot. I would go to all the fashion shows in New York and Las Vegas and London. And so it was it's a great job. And then through that job, I met my husband and here I am. That was 2006. So 16 years ago, pretty much 17 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing how that all worked out.
Yeah. And then the painting, so getting back to the watercolors, the painting is the silver lining for me from COVID, because I also, once I was working for that fashion job, then when I had my second son, I changed my work contract. So I'd always wanted to write a book, and then I had this idea and it morphed into a magazine. So I was writing this magazine about Tuscany. And then I was doing food and shopping tours, and then COVID happened and there were no more tourists. And I was like, oh. And so I picked up one day, we were in lockdown, my old watercolors, and painted a scene from, a painting that I had, which showed the poppies and all the rest of it. And I thought this would make a beautiful painting. And then I started to share a few things on Instagram and it just took off from there. So that's been, fantastic for me.
Everything's just how you wanted it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like I've come full circle now, like in Florence, back doing watercolors.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm excited that you want to like painting here too. We're going to have a lot of fun. So, I always say to people, it's all about, there's always that fear, I think, of, the first brushstroke, or, like I even have it. I get a new sketchbook and then I'm like, I'm too scared to touch it or to do the first sketch because I don't want to ruin it. But it's that kind of fear of just takes me sometimes, half an hour to warm up when I'm doing a painting. I'll do some other stuff just to kind of get into the swing of things. And it's really therapeutic. That's what I really quite love about watercolor too. I think it's really, apart from, it's quite beautiful because the water and the paint do their own thing as opposed to oil painting. There's something that is quite relaxing and definitely meditative about it.
This is the part that I have about the art is I have this thought, what it's supposed to turn out. And then I'm like, I don't know how to do it. And then it stops me from doing it, from any kind of creation at all.
I'm the same. I have a vision of how I want something to finish. And then it's like, and it's also about, with watercolor, is really about patience, because it's all about layers and not going too heavy to start with. But you'll see when you come, and we'll do some exercise and we'll play around.
Okay, well, I'm super excited about that. And you offer tours too, you say, yes?
Yeah, so food tours, so where we taste all the local kind of, specialties that Tuscany and Florence are known for. So at the moment, it's really exciting because it's carnival time. So there's there's rice, they're called frittelle di riso. So they're literally fried rice balls tossed in sugar. They're amazing. There's things called cenci. They're like a biscuit, which is also fried or baked, tossed in icing sugar. And they are called different names all over Italy, but it's pretty much the same thing. So that's the interesting thing about Italy too. Different regions have different names for the same thing. So we do food, wine. Often we'll do a Negroni. Negroni cocktail was invented here in Florence. So we talk about the history of that. It depends what people want to see and do. So if it comes to maybe people say, I just want to, I want you to take me around and do some shopping, show me all the, the best contemporary boutiques, labels that I'm not going to be able to find when I go back home. Or maybe people say, I want to see the artisans and I want to go and have a look, do some paper marbling, or, there's some amazing artisans here on the other side of the river, the Oltrano neighborhood, that you can just walk past and you can watch them work. So it's really quite fascinating as well.
Oh, wow.
You offer quite a bit, huh? I was gonna say that the watercolor, I was gonna say I'm gonna go for the food for sure. Maybe not the watercolor, but then when you were talking about it, I thought maybe, because I don't consider myself artistic at all, but watercolor maybe might be fun to play around with, like I'm open to pottery, things like that, where it's shapes, so
yeah.
general shapes. But how do people do they go directly to your website to book things?
Yeah, I've had people contact me via Instagram, which has been Instagram, I have to say, has been really quite phenomenal for me. But yeah, directly through my website. And then I had, just through word of mouth, I had a tour on Thursday with a woman who sent me a text message saying, I'm going to be in Florence next week. Are you around? And a friend of hers did the tour with me. So she was like, my girlfriend told me she had a great tour with you. So, and then I basically, will find out, if there's any foods that you don't want to eat, or if you have any, allergies or intolerances or anything like that. And then I kind of put together a bit of a itinerary, kind of not really itinerary is the same, and I kind of sometimes on the day we'll just say, oh, let's go here, and depending on the time and all the rest of it too, so what people want to see.
So it's usually just a small group of people, or is it
so mainly if they're contacting me directly, it's usually private, so it'll be a family. So on Thursday I have a family of 5, but normally it's just even up to just one person. Sometimes I'll do a private tour or 2. I work also for another company called Eating Europe, and they pre-COVID would have tours up to 12 people in a group. And it's really been interesting since COVID that most of the tours are small groups, so people 2 or 3, or just small families. And but I have a tour that just got confirmed today, which is kind of like getting back to how it used to be, which is a really large group. And I'll divide that up with a colleague of mine, a friend. So when it's this is it's a group of 19, and there's no way I can do that by myself. And also a lot of the places that we visit couldn't handle that many people. And I have to say, I do prefer the small groups. I like the intimacy, and it's much nicer. It's like taking, a group of friends around, as opposed to, being the person with the umbrella.
Yeah.
It's the tour group around. I don't do that.
So what would a food tour feel like? Are there specific stops?
Yeah, so it depends. So if it's a morning tour, obviously there's not as much alcohol involved. And normally we'll start with a coffee, where it's a really nice time to get to chat and get to know people. But we also talk about the coffee culture here in Italy, because, as you know, here in Italy, a lot of the restaurants, they don't want to hear you ordering a cappuccino after your lunch or your dinner. It's like, a lot of them will say, we don't do it. And then it depends on what time of year you're here, because if you're here in the summer, it's really nice to have a shakerato, which is the iced coffee that they shake with ice in a cocktail shaker, and it comes up all frothy. It's quite beautiful. And we explain that you can order, though, if you want a milky coffee, you can get away with ordering macchiato all day. That's acceptable. So that's not normally a good start. And then also, depending on the year, on the time of the year, I'll usually go to a bakery and have some kind of, pastry treat that's around. All year round here, you can get a budino di riso, which is a rice pudding. So just think of like a short crust pastry filled with a rice pudding that's then baked in the oven. That's really popular here in Tuscany. And so, yeah, there's always something that's in season. And that's something else that's special here as well, that certain things you can't get all year round. And I think that that's what's really quite, you know, makes it special, whether you come in the autumn, whether you come, you know, in the summer. There's going to be something that you can't find, you know, other times, because it's all to do with what's in season, traditions and all the rest of it too. So there's always something different. If it's an evening tour, there's usually obviously wine tasting. Also during the day, there's a place I go to that we do in proper olive oil tasting. So olive oil, when it's tasted properly, it's actually served in a tiny little blue glass, because you're not supposed to be influenced by the color. So it's in a blue glass. So because a lot of people go, oh, if it's a dark green, it's a better quality, and that's got nothing to do with it, the color. And then you warm the glass in the palm of your hand, and then you actually drink it. And like wine, you hold it in your mouth, and it's really quite an amazing thing to do. So you girls will have to do that as well when you come.
Yes.
Yes.
That. Yes. You say it's carnival time right now, right? When is carnival time over?
It goes on for a few weeks. I don't know the exact date. I don't know if it finishes with Shrove Tuesday, which is what we call here Martedì Grasso, which would be Fat Tuesday. My boys would normally, they'd have a day at school where they could go dressed up if they wanted to. So carnival costumes. It's a bit probably, I guess it's like Halloween, but I mean, yeah, it's a bit like Halloween without all the scary part of it. But and then they throw coriandoli, which are like the confetti, which you'll see all over the streets.
Oh,
so that gets thrown. Yeah, the kids throw that everywhere. But you know, I mean, Florence isn't like Venice. It's not so much, you know, a carnival centre. The place in Tuscany, though, that is famous for carnival is Viareggio, and that's near, like 10 minutes from the town where I said my sister was living on the coast. And they're famous for a huge parade. I want to kind of equate it to your the big parade that they have in New York for is it Thanksgiving parade? And they have all the big floats. Yeah, so it's kind of like that. But a lot of the floats that they take years to make, I mean, like the whole year to make, they're amazing. A lot of them really aren't for children. They kind of always have like a bit of a political kind of satirical edge to them, but it's amazing. And it lasts for a few weeks, and they have competitions, and it goes along the whole promenade of Viareggio, which is along the beach promenade. That's quite amazing.
Oh, wow. Well, we are going to be there, you know, March 10th through May 10th. So is there anything happening during that time that we just shouldn't miss?
Yeah, you guys are going to be lucky, because I think you're going to be here for the beautiful wisteria that blooms at the Bardini Gardens. So if you can imagine like a long canopy that goes for about 20 meters long, all with wisteria that just blooms and hangs. And then from the Bardini Gardens, you have the beautiful view of Florence. So it's stunning for photographs, and it's really quite beautiful. It's a stunning garden anyway, but when the wisteria is in bloom, it's just something else. It's really quite beautiful. If you're here for Easter, you will see the which they did last year, and so I'm assuming they'll be able to do it this year as well. It's called the Explosion of the Cart, which is on Easter Sunday in Piazza Duomo. Have you heard about that?
I saw a little bit about that, but I don't know really about it. I want to know.
Find a picture. Yeah, so it's an amazing tradition, and where these oxen basically, I'm flicking through one of my magazines to see if I can find some photos. They wheel this huge cart, which is, you know, hundreds of years old, and it's all decorated with fireworks. And these big 2 white oxen wheel it into the centre of Florence in front of the Duomo. Here we go. Can you see that?
Oh, yes. Wow.
And then there's it exploding. So it's really amazing. Goodness. But what happens is, it's not just the explosion. What happens is here we go. So that's it in front of the Duomo. Can you see that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And then that dove that you can see there, that's not a real dove, but what they do is they have a wire that goes from the cart into the church, into the Duomo, and they set the dove off. It goes into the church and it comes back, hits the cart, and all the fireworks explode. And if the fireworks don't explode properly, it means it's not going to be a good harvest year. So it's all about, if it goes off well and everything happens. But it's amazing to see. Like, it's just really special. I remember the first time I saw it, I was just really excited.
It's like our Groundhog Day.
Yes.
When Tuscany fails, sees a shadow.
Yes, it's exactly like that. So it's like, and then on the same day, what they do is there's also the historical soccer game that's played here in June. So on that day, they draw the teams to say which teams are going to be playing. So there's 4 teams, and each team represents one of the different neighbourhoods of Florence, the 4 quartieri. So there's the white team, which is Bianchi, which is Oltrano, the other side of the river, who I go for. Then there's the San Giovanni, which is the Duomo, the blue. Santa Maria Novella, a red, I think I got this right, and Santa Croce, a green. So it's like these 4 neighbourhoods that then battle.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Yeah, it's a really violent game. Actually, if you watch Home Game on Netflix, they show it on there. So I always say to people, think rugby, soccer, MMA. So
oh my God.
It's violent. It's really violent.
Okay. I'm making a note. I must watch that.
Yeah, do.
Home Game.
Home Game, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, I don't really think about sports when I think of Italy. I don't know why. I don't.
And they play in historical costumes, so it's not like it's going to a typical soccer game. They're playing in heavy old felt costumes. They all end up with their t-shirts ripped off by the end of it. They just look like they're standing there boxing with each other. It's really quite,
Oh my goodness. How fun.
Yeah, it is. It's an experience.
I've been really fascinated by the people we've been talking to, and they're all they've all been from Australia.
I know, because I listened to your podcast with Liv, Olivia. Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, when I first came here, I always felt like I was the only kind of expat or Australian here, but it was because now there's so many, because of the internet and Facebook and Instagram, and there's a lot of expat groups here that people kind of network and get to know each other. But the whole kind of, there's a lot more Australians here than what I have always kind of, taken, kind of accepted. There's an Australian group that get together for drinks, and there's an American group, there's a British group of expats. But it's funny. I mean, I feel when I came here and growing up in Australia, I always said I was Italian, which was, now here they kind of laugh at me when I say that, because I just can't get rid of this accent when I'm speaking in Italian. I'm the foreigner.
You have a beautiful accent.
Not when I speak Italian.
So there's a lot of Australians living there in Italy. So are there people? Are there Italians living in Australia doing the same thing? I'm wondering.
There's a lot in the last few years. There's been a lot of young Italians taking advantage of the fact that they could go and work in Australia with a working visa. And I couldn't bear having people say, oh, a friend of mine's gone there, my friend's cousin's gone there, and they all, and I said they love it, don't they? They don't want to come back. Because I always get a lot of Italians say to me, what's the food like in Australia? What's the coffee? And I say, we have a really good coffee culture, and this whole kind of idea, I think that, because I was talking also about the skiing in Australia. Oh, you have snow? This whole kind of, and then a lot of the Italians, they say to us, what are you doing here? Like, to them, Australia is this, I guess, paradise, and they can't understand why we would choose to live here, where a lot of my Australian friends come and visit, and they just say, oh my gosh, look where you're living. So it's this whole kind of, grass is always greener.
Right. Yeah. So you met your husband there. He's Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the same kind of work. Do you guys work together?
No, he works for a freight forwarder shipping company. So we met because he was working for the shipping company that I was dealing with at the fashion company I was working with. So that was how we met.
I see. Do you have family in Australia still?
Yeah, I have so my father and two brothers. So I have an older brother and a younger brother, and then they're both married with children as well. So my dad is coming over in June, which is really exciting because he's cancelled he usually comes every year. So he's cancelled obviously the last 2 years because they couldn't leave the country. So I'm really excited to see him. And I haven't been to Australia for 5 years. So it's a long time. So my boys keep saying to me, I have two boys that are 7 and 10, and they keep saying, when are we going to Australia? So hopefully next Christmas we'll go.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, you're lucky that you have your sister there.
Very lucky.
Nice. Do you
We
see
speak
her often?
probably not as often as, like, she's in Rome, which is, an hour and a half away on the train. It's not that far, but we speak every day, whether it's WhatsApp or messages or, sending each other, photos or things that, each one sees. But yeah, we speak every day. I saw her probably, I want to say 2 weeks ago. She was here in Florence and we had a few days together. We always spend our birthday together, which is really nice. Usually comes here for lunch. But probably I would probably see more of her because often if I go to Rome, it's like then I've got to organise someone to either pick up the boys from school, because if I go there, I want to go there and spend lunch and then spend the whole day. But
Right.
yeah.
I was reading on your website that your sister was on TV for something.
Yes, so she went on it was a reality cooking show before MasterChef had taken off here, and she won. And Tony, it's so funny you said that you weren't that creative. Well, my sister was a nurse, and she always used to say to me, you're the creative twin. And then when she was here and she had children, she started to, make their birthday cakes and, was self-taught. And before cake design was really anything here. And she started to, do all the kids' birthday cakes. So that's what she was kind of known for. So when she won the cooking show, her prize was her own show. And so what she did was, it was like a cake decorating show that she did with her daughter. And I think she did 4 seasons. And so, yeah, she was really well known for cakes and cake decorating and all the rest of it. So, yeah, she's amazing. She has her website is pretty much her food blog.
So have you ever gotten mistaken for her while you're
here?
There? And
yeah, once I had a girl say to me, my sister's name's Tony, and she goes, Tony. She gave me a hug and I went, no, I'm Lisa. And she goes, no, Tony. I was like, no, I'm Lisa. And then also when I used to visit her in Pietrasanta, the town she used to live in, and actually when she was here a few weeks ago, she said the same thing. She said, she was down my street and she said, some people said hello to me, and I just said hi. And I said that, people waved and, I didn't want them to think you were rude because they obviously thought I was you. I mean, we're quite different, but I think if you know one of us and you don't know the other one, and then you see the other one of us walking around, you're going to think that, that's the twin,
Yeah. I always thought it would be fun to have a twin. I always wanted that. Like,
yes.
That just sounds so fun.
we probably always strove to be quite different. Like when I was younger, I cut my hair really short. We didn't like being called twinny at school, so we really kind of fought to prove that we were individuals and they were really different. And we were quite different growing up too. Yeah. So we're probably more alike now with a lot of the things we do, but we also had totally different tastes in fashion and, the way we dress and all the rest of it, which we still kind of do now as well. Like I'll say to Tony, do you like this? And she'll say, no, but I can see it on you, type of thing.
Yeah. You are two different people. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know why we like it when people are like so much the same, like twins. We just love twins.
I know, but I see it's funny because we don't think that we look that identical anymore. I see some twins that their whole life they dress the same, they have the same hairstyle, they live together almost. It's really it's a bit disturbing on one level, I think. We're not like that. We still have our sisterly fights and all the rest of it. So
living away from your family, has that been difficult for you? Like that's what I'm That's one of my things. I think about those or expats that are living far away from their family, and
yeah, it's hard. I always say it's kind of like we're living in limbo, because I can't imagine moving back to Australia now and living permanently. I'd always feel like I was missing out on something here. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of things I love and miss about Melbourne, but I have to say, you know, technology has made it, you know, everything much easier, being able to do like video calls. And my dad's really techie. He's fantastic. But I think it was harder these last few years, where even if you wanted to travel, you couldn't. So it was this whole restriction thing and I think that's what kind of scared my sister and I. I was like, well, what if something happens to someone of our family in Australia? We're not going to be able to even go and see them. So we heard all these, you know, really awful stories about people with sick relatives that couldn't even visit them. So that was, I think, where I even felt more distant just the last few years, where you couldn't travel and you couldn't visit, where I think we're quite lucky that, you know, like I said, my dad comes here every year. I feel I'm really lucky having my sister so close by. That really does make it easier. And you know, like I said, you know, the technology of today, you know, I'm constantly sending my nieces messages. We do, you know, voice calls, video calls. So it really does make you feel closer. Like years ago, when I used to send my letter home to my parents, and it would take, you know, 2 weeks to get there. And in the meantime, I would have spoken to them on the phone and told them all the news that was in the letter anyway.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. It's so good. Like even this right here. It's amazing that we are talking to you on the other, like,
I know,
other side of the world.
I know.
It's
and you're drinking coffee probably, and I'm drinking wine.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, that's something that we have to think about, because we're bringing our work with us. And so, you know, morning is evening there. So we're going to be working evenings instead of mornings.
It's kind of nice, because when I was working with a fashion company, and I used to do a lot of, you know, like emails and conference calls with the States in the evening, you'll find, and I have some other American friends here that work from 3 o'clock onwards, but you kind of have your mornings to yourself. So it kind of, you know, it's kind of like the best of both worlds in a way, that you'll be able to probably spend your mornings exploring and doing, you know, whatever you want to, and then, yeah, closing yourself up in the afternoon to do your work.
Yeah. What's your favorite part
of Florence?
Your favorite
well,
part of Florence?
Do love where I live. So I live in a neighborhood called San Nicolò, which is on the other side of the river. So from the Duomo, it's called Oltrano, which literally means other side of the Arno River. And if you think of the Piazzale Michelangelo, which is that beautiful, you know, the view where you see the whole city before you, I'm literally kind of, the neighborhood is below there. So when we were in lockdown last year, we don't have a garden or anything. It was really nice that I had that garden area that was within my 200 meters that I was allowed to, you know, go out and explore. Yeah. So it's quite beautiful. We're very central, but we still have a lot of, you know, gardens around us. So I am a bit partial to all the neighborhoods on this side of the river, because when I came back in 2006, I lived in San Frediano, which is on the other, still this side of the river, but on the other side of Ponte Vecchio. And this side of the river just seems, I don't know, it's very authentic. There's a lot of families that have been here for generations. A lot of the stores you go to, you know, they've been there for years. My street is like a little country town. It's a village. Everyone knows everyone. It's a bit of a...
I love that.
You know, you go into the bar and they already know what coffee you want. You don't have, you know, it's that kind of thing.
That's what I want, right, Joanne? Yeah. That's what I've been saying. That's what I want so bad, to just walk in. It's like everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
The usual.
Yeah. And you know, it's nice too, because I have to say, sometimes you kind of think, oh, you know, do I want to be a bit anonymous? But at the same time, I know that if like my boys were to run down the street, or someone would say, where's your mum? You know what I mean? Like, I do feel like it's a bit of a neighborhood watch, you know, scenario as well. I do feel it's quite safe, this area. I often think too, like if I was to have my time again when I was here all those years ago, like, I don't know if there's a lot of things I don't remember, and I probably don't, I think sometimes I didn't explore as, I mean, I was here for nearly 2 years, but you know, like when you almost get quite settled in a place, and where if you're there for a short time, you probably explore a lot more because you're like, I'm only there for a short time and all the rest of it. And I don't even have any of my old photos. Well, they're probably in a box somewhere back at home. But yeah, I don't have much of when I was here all those years ago.
Well, you had the memories.
Oh, I did find, I found this, which I've put up on my pin-up board. This is a tiny little watercolour. Don't know if you can see that.
Oh my gosh, look at how tiny.
Did you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and I found this, and it had the date on it. I think it would have been when I was here, 93, 94. I found it in an envelope.
Oh,
I'm so excited.
my gosh.
It's on my pin-up board here.
You painted that tiny?
Yeah, so those things are like the little things we used to sell to the tourists. Like we would sell, any watercolors from this size, and it would come in a series of 3. So it would have been like in a frame with like 3 little watercolors.
That's cute. That's cute. I don't know. I have a hard time with like a big thing. How do you do it like teeny tiny? Oh, really?
No, I didn't need this all those years ago, but now this is me now. My magnifying glass.
Me too. Me too.
But at the moment, I'm working on a large painting. It's about this size. It's funny. There's something quite beautiful about working something on a large scale. And if things get too small, like if I'm doing a portrait, sometimes doing something on too small a scale is too hard to really show detail. It depends on what people want from it. But I have some really tiny brushes as well. I was just using one of them earlier. This one. No, that's not it. I have some really tiny brushes, and yeah, here we go. That's like one of my smallest brushes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh my gosh, that is tiny.
But yeah, I prefer to work like that's quite easy too, those little ones. It looks, even though it's so tiny, but yeah, I kind of do prefer to work on a larger scale.
So people hire you to do their portraits, family portraits?
Yeah, I've done families, a lot of dogs, done a few cats. I have a horse for a friend that I've been meaning to do for ages. At the moment, I'm painting a winery, which then they're going to print the painting as cars. And they've given me some of their wine that I'm using as inspiration here.
Nice.
The label's here to refer to. They're closed. They're not open yet. And then I do, for myself, I did like a set, which I'll give you girls when you come, of coffee cards, coffee prints, and florals. I'm doing, speaking of the wisteria, I'm working on this at the moment, which is a wisteria painting. So this was doing for me, but I kind of put it in my stories, and someone already said, is that going to be for sale? I'd love to buy it. So yeah. And then my plans are, I really want to do like an illustrated map of Florence. So, that not a map to follow, pretty much like a piece of artwork that has like all the landmarks and all the rest of it. There's just not enough hours in the day for all the things that I'd like to do.
Wow. Well, everything, it sounds like you really are creating your life, like you have young boys, so you don't want to be too busy and taken away from them, but you have so many things to keep you occupied as well.
Yeah, they're cute. And I think the eldest one, they're both kind of creative. It's funny, Thomas asked this year for Christmas for a artist easel, which really surprised me. And Matteo does comics, so they both have a bit of a creative side as well. But yeah, they're, I have to say, I feel quite fortunate now that I do have, my job before was very demanding and a lot of long hours. So now I feel quite fortunate that, working for myself, that I can kind of pick and choose my hours, and obviously I'm there to pick up the boys from school every day as well.
That's nice. That was what I was going to ask you, if they were interested in art. It sounds like they are.
Yeah, Mateo's like the eldest one who did the comic. It was like a 30-page. Now he's writing the sequel. It's called The Monster Invasion or something.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. Yeah, but like really like, and yeah, it just surprises me how seriously he took it. And then I do some courses online, and he was like, oh, can I do one of those too? So yeah. And then Thomas surprised me, the younger one, he's 7. I was getting out some paints. He goes, no, I want the good paper, like what you use.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh.
I want the good paper. I want the stuff you use. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's amazing. So you offer courses online as well?
No, I haven't. I've had people ask me about doing art classes online, and I have to say, I used to think, oh, I don't think I'm good enough to teach online. You know, like to put a whole kind of class together, or maybe I could, I don't know. And then also, it seems silly, but it's like, oh, okay, the whole kind of technical setup of it, or, you know, do I do I think I'd love to do like a live kind of class, but to do like a whole kind of recorded course or something just seems like a huge undertaking of work. So
Oh, well, I would totally sign up for that.
thanks.
I really want to, my heart wants to be an artist. I think my mind does too.
Well, maybe, yeah, I think that too. I think everyone has either, everyone is able to do it. And, you know, like I have improved so much, I've said, over the last year. So it's all about practice. It's really good to keep everything you do, because it's really good to look back and kind of go, you know, even though you might not like something, but go, wow, okay, I really kind of see how far you've come. I have some pieces that I don't love, and they sit in a drawer, but I keep them because they're really good to kind of look back on. And it's only through working with the paints that you understand which colours mix well together, how much water to add, how much paint, you know, you can't just grab it the first time and get it. It's something about, you know, the more I'm still learning all the time.
Yeah. Well, when did you actually start? Like the beginning, the first painting you ever did?
Was when I was here in 93. So I was 22. And Marco, the artist that I met, he taught me pretty much. He had been an architect here. So it was pretty much like watching him work that I learned a lot about how to set up a painting, how to add the shadows in. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Then when I went back to Australia, I did join a painting group, but I worked with acrylics. I didn't do watercolours for a long time. So I was with this painting group of women, and we'd meet every Saturday, and that was really a lot of fun. And we could pretty much paint whatever we wanted to. And then I've got these two. When I first started my blog, so that was 10 years ago, my first blog, it's had a different name to this one. I was doing like an about me, and I think I've put these on my current blog, but these I did in 2010, so 11 years ago. So this was like a little bit of a kind of a mock-up of me sitting at the station, because when I first arrived here, I got the wrong train to Florence, as you do. And then that was me, like the whole fashion, you know, on Via Tonabody, the exclusive.
Oh, wow.
So these were two that I kind of just sketched freehand. I mean, I kind of look at them now and, you know, they're cute. They're kind of like, you know, comic-y things. But then when I started painting 2 years ago was when I really started to then, you know, see things that I'm like, I want to learn how to do, you know, flowers like that person. How do they do that? And I really I love doing portraits too of people. So I started to, you know, do some online workshops about, you know, portraiture and mixing colours for skin tones and that. So yeah, I don't know, someone asked me the other day, what do you really want to do, like with your watercolour? And I said, it's not like I want to say I just want to do botanical, I just want to do portraits. What I'd love to do, you know, the magazine, it's not in print anymore, but I'd love to put this back out there as a 1-volume book and have the watercolours in here as well. So that's what I really love to do.
Please do that. Please do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the back I've got all the fruits and vegetables in season. So I'd love to like convert that and not have everything as watercolor, but I think there's some really iconic things where I talk about food and some ingredients which would be, you know, beautiful, and some scenes, you know, like that with the poppies would be quite beautiful if that was a painting instead of the photograph. So that's the big picture of what I'd like to do.
Ew, yes, do that. I love
Where are you girls staying when you're here?
Some Airbnbs.
Mhm.
I don't remember the street, but one place is about 15 minutes by bus
Mhm.
away from the city, main city. So, but it is on where the train station
Uh-huh.
on that side. Um, so
I was just curious to know which neighborhood you guys were going to stay.
yeah,
But you're not staying at the one place for the whole time. You're staying in different places.
yeah, two places, and the second place will be closer, I think, to maybe where that garden is you were talking about with the.
Okay, so that's just down the road from my house. So
we're
Yeah.
gonna be neighbors.
we can meet for coffees in the morning.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can talk to you for hours and hours. But so as we start to wrap up, I'm gonna ask the question. So if you randomly won 100 million euro or dollars, what would you do with it?
I'm always looking at houses further
Ah.
out. So there's a house that keeps on popping up in it's so out of my budget, but I look at it and I have it saved because it's just, so I would love to buy a property that had a garden, some big space outside. I'd love to have a space where I could do, have people have to do like cooking and watercolor workshops.
Yes.
That's what I would love to do. So, come and stay and have like, the guest house, come and do a retreat, that would be amazing.
Oh, yes. That would be my dream too. Have a few different houses.
And maybe with that money, I'd also be able to buy property in Australia. So then we could go and visit there every year as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that'll be nice for you to get home and visit.
Yeah, well, the boys, Thomas, who's 7, he was 6 months old the last time I took him. So he knows, and they watch all these shows on TV. So when can we go? And, I'm like, and I'm desperate to take them and really, show them, the best parts of Australia too, all the wildlife parks and all the rest of it, beaches, and, just take them around to meet all my friends and relatives. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting you girls when you come here.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet you. And so we'll make that happen. We'll make arrangements, and I can't wait to like learn some art and have some coffee. No cappuccinos allowed. Macchiato.
And maybe a few Negronis and lots of vino rosso. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Well, enjoy your evening, because I know it's there. And Joanne, you enjoy your day.
I will. You too.
All right. Well, talk to you
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.